Hey, hi, good morning, and welcome back to Saturday Morning Cartoons with the Doodle Crew. We are so happy to have you here on another Saturday morning where we're going to take some cartoons, and for today, we are going to draw them in many styles. So, cartoons of many styles, but super, super excited. I feel like it's been a while since we've had a Saturday morning cartoon, so I'm very excited to be here and be drawing that. And I am joined by two wonderful artists. So, in true Doodle Crew fashion, we're going to go around, introduce yourself, tell people where they can find you, and which character you're going to be drawing today. So, Vic, I'll start with you.
Oh, no. I'm Vic Idstar Hill, or Vic, or Id, or whatever you want to call me. I will probably answer to anything. I do various artworks and such, mostly in comics recently. I've got a couple of comics online. You can find me on most social medias at Idstar, but except for TikTok, because someone else got that first, and I'm not bitter about it at all. Today I'm going to draw Gambit from the 90s animated X-Men show.
Yeah!
I'm going to have a go at a few different styles, but I'm leaning on the ones that were familiar to me more so in England than I think some of the ones you guys watched here, which interesting.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
How that goes.
I'm super excited. Yeah. And Megan, hi. Welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. It's Saturday. I'm so excited. So hi, I'm Megan Cook. You can find me on most social media at Megan C Creates, especially Instagram. I'm super active on. And today I picked Helga Pataki to draw in 10 different styles, and we'll see how many I get through.
Yeah, there was a great conversation in the Discord happening about, like, when we posted these, like, are you going to finish all those? I was like, no, I'm not, because I can't do that in 3 hours, but I'm going to do my best.
Were we supposed to do 20 originally?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, no. I was like, I think 6, maybe.
I mean, I could try, but it'll look like garbage.
They'll be quick. There's not going to be a lot of coloring happening. So, yeah. Which is also, it's awesome. And if you end up wanting to see how this lovely art turns out, make sure you follow us at Doodle Crew Draw across the internet. You can also visit our link tree to hook up with any of the artists that you see on stream, or if for some reason you can't find any of their contact info from the chat or any of that, make sure you just hit me up and I will happily connect you with these amazing people. So as you are on my channel, and you probably already know me, but I introduce myself anyways, I am at A Swan Named Emily across the internet. And for today, I am on the wrong thing. I am going to draw Wendy from Gravity Falls, because I thought plaid was a good idea for drawing things fast. That was my thought. No, I'm excited. I've always liked her design. I adore Gravity Falls. It is bananas and I love it. So it was just fun. It was between her and Frankie from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, but I might save her for something else. But yeah, so I'm excited. So for anybody in chat, what we kind of talked about a little bit off stream was we've definitely picked ones that we are comfortable with, or ones that we're excited to do. But if you in chat are really hyped to see us draw one of these characters in a certain style, you can, well, let's say you can ask. We'll see how we're doing. Yeah, but I'm excited. It's funny to me because this is a challenge I've seen around, oh my gosh, since, like, you know, my days on DeviantArt. Like, it's always been around and I always thought it was so cool. And for some reason, I just never did it. I don't know why, but yeah. Oh, also, I wanted to share with chat this one. I'm going to make this big real quick, just because I love it, because we are Bob Ross fans on this channel. So Bob Ross in all these different styles, which I just adored. So yeah. Also, I want to throw out to chat, if anybody would like to draw along at home, let us know, and we will send you these amazing templates for all these different styles that you can put cartoon characters into. So, yeah. I'm going to jump over, and I started sketching, but that's as far as I got.
Yeah, I also prepped a little with sketches.
I did not.
Being very brave and just winging it, and I like it.
It is how I live a huge portion of my life.
So I know from our chat recently, Vic, that I think you and we are close in age, but I'm very curious about, the cartoons that you really remember from growing up and what was being aired in America versus what was being aired in England, and like what the delay was maybe even in getting them over there.
I couldn't say about what the delay was like because I wasn't particularly aware of it at the time.
Yeah.
But we got a lot of American TV shows. So I was probably watching the same stuff for the most part. It's more that we didn't have like loads and loads of our own shows that you guys didn't have. But what was more the case, I think, is that there were some shows that you guys did have that we just didn't get for some reason, like random ones that didn't make it over. I don't think there was as much anime on our TV.
That's fair.
And I don't know what American TV channels are like, but like Saturday morning cartoons and stuff were on, and only for really short portions of the day, back when there were only like however many channels. Now there's a million billion channels and you can watch on every device going. But yeah, I'm trying to think off the top of my head of any shows that we would have had that you wouldn't have had. But I think some of the shows that we did have, they just played to death as well. So like
I could see that.
I think I've watched every episode of Recess a million times because they just kept playing it and playing it and playing it and playing it and playing it. It's like, okay, we've got Recess. Here you go.
That's so funny. Because I don't think of I enjoyed Recess a lot, but I don't think of that as one that we got to make sure that the kids get Recess.
Recess was a big thing. Certainly on like the Disney Channel. We also had, I think, for slightly younger kids, because I don't actually know how the different kids' age brackets are actually supposed to be. We had a lot of younger kids shows that were made with puppets and stuff.
Okay.
So, like, I'm talking like sort of 3 to 5 years or 3 to 6 years old sort of TV. But that would consist of a lot of very wholesome stories played out in like stop motion animation or with puppets. And so there were a lot of those shows, but they were not sort of cartoon like animated in the same way. So I don't know if you had lots of that kind of stuff.
I mean, I know I definitely had I had very strict parents. So I was very limited in what I was allowed to watch for a long time. So I was big on, I watched a ton of Sesame Street. I was huge on Zoobly Zoo, which looking back now is so weird. Oh, it's so strange.
Heard of that.
So to paint you a lovely word picture of Zoobly Zoo, it is adult actors dressed up as animals, and they are all animals at a zoo, and they sing and they dance, and it's got Ben Vereen, and it's an acid trip. I look at it now. It's got a gosh darn catchy theme song though, so I recommend you go to YouTube and look that up, because oh my gosh, I was like, no wonder I was such a weird kid. What was I watching?
I mean, we had stuff like the Teletubbies, so
oh yes.
And I will say, like, I was too old for the Teletubbies, really, but everyone watched the Teletubbies.
Yeah.
And from what I understand it, they've got even trippier sort of people in big suits kind of shows going on now.
I believe it. That's funny. So Mayor Squish, who also not in America, says Recess was big here too for some reason. I wonder if Recess just like hit the lottery of syndication and was just like, nope, you're the one. You're the one we're gonna send everywhere.
That might be it.
But I know, like Megan and I have talked, because we, again, also in the same age bracket, but growing up and trying to get our hands on anime specifically, and how it was, it was Cartoon Network and Toonami for a good chunk of time, because the internet wasn't a thing and there really weren't other ways to get anime.
Wasn't there, I don't remember if it was Animanga or one of those anime magazines, didn't they used to have like a full page catalog you could order VHS of anime?
Uh-huh. I was never allowed to, but I wanted to.
I didn't ever get to do that either. It was like it's either on TV or you don't get it.
Yeah. No, I remember the absolute delight, and I think this was definitely in high school, because I'd been reading the Oh My Goddess manga for years at that point, and I finally found like a VHS, and I was like, oh, "There's an anime of it," and watched that until the VHS fell apart. Yeah, it's just it was such a weird thing, and now you've got Crunchyroll, you've got literally YouTube. There are so many ways that you can watch any anime you want, and I'm so jealous. Randall in chat says Toonami created me. Yes. That little weird robot. Yeah. Oh gosh.
Oh, Tom?
Yep.
Yeah. How many incarnations has he gone through? Does anybody even know?
He's had a bunch. Gosh, I'm very happy that you remembered the name, because I definitely didn't remember the name.
Random.
I'm not familiar with at all, really.
Really? You guys didn't get Cartoon Network and Toonami over there?
We had Cartoon Network. I didn't so much know what Toonami is. Again, we had sort of weird times that things would be broadcast and then it would cut off and it'd be like, and that's your lot. But also my parents didn't super let us just sit and watch TV.
Yep. I was required outside time, and television was limited.
My parents bought this electronic box that would actually, you had to put in a passcode to turn on the TV. And so me and my brother, we shared our screen time and we put it together so we could watch all of Toonami.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
That's funny. I love it.
That was my my experience when Toonami first came on the TV, is I had to input a passcode for my screen time.
Oh my gosh. So Randall says, I remember when he came back as Tom 2.0. Oh my God, I love it. Yeah, it's become a running joke now in my family, because not only with cartoons, but also with video games, I had a limited, I think it was like a half hour. And the joke was always, I desperately wanted to play Chrono Cross. But to get through the first chunk of it, between all of the unskippable cutscenes to get to a save point, is a little bit more than a half an hour. And so I could never get to the save point to save it so that I could continue the game after my time limit was up. So I played the intro to Chrono Cross about 10 times and I was like, I'm done. I'm done with this. I'm playing fighting games because there's no load time with them.
Oh, no.
Yep. So. Oh, it's funny.
Chill, neighbor dog, chill. Neighbor dog says no. Yeah, other than that, I'm trying to think, like when you try and think of a thing and then all things on earth go out of your head. I'm trying to think what I watched as a kid. I can't remember anything.
Yep. Nope. For the talk show that I'm on, it's the same thing. Like if they're like, yeah, pick your favorite this. And I was like, I've never watched anything. I don't remember anything. I don't know. So I was like, I need to know these topics beforehand, because in the moment my brain will go blank and I will have nothing for you.
If I'd thought about it in advance, I would have been obviously, if I'd thought about it in advance, I'd actually have answered this question, let alone having considered that it might have been worth thinking about it in advance. But I did not do that. So here we are. Yeah. I keep trying to think of anything else and my brain's just like, Recess. I'm like, no, you already said Recess. There are other shows. I swear there were other shows. England is not just like a giant rock that we all live under.
Yeah. Well, and I know it was something fun, because I had kids in school with me who would watch the cartoons, but I don't think they watched them with the same maybe enthusiasm that I did. So when I finally got to college and I was surrounded by people who like wanted to super talk about all these cartoons. I was like, oh, these are my people. Randall and chat being one of them. Sarah, who's also on the Doodle Crew, like a bunch of us. Andre, who's a friend of ours. I think he was way back on my first stream on my own regular show. And it's funny because all of us, like, we would spend hours talking about all these different things. And I was like, oh yeah, I definitely didn't get to do this with with my high school friends. Yeah, I'm just catching up on chat. Yeah, Toonami was important because that was Dragon Ball Z and that was Sailor Moon for me. Like those were my first big ones that I would say were very formative. All the anime to come afterwards. I also had a realization when I picked Disney as one of the styles I was going to do. I was like, but are you really going that far off of your own style?
I've never been able to really grasp the Disney style, despite trying and failing many times.
Let's do it this way. Wow. No, that's not what I wanted. Oh. How's that, Mayor Squish? Is that better? Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, the little face. Oh man, He-Man, Smurf, Snorks, Rainbow Bright. OG girl. I totally copied you, Megan, and drew Rainbow Bright the other week.
Oh, really? I haven't got to catch up on episodes yet.
Yep. What was the shoot? I can't even remember the prompt. That's terrible. Yeah, but I did a sticker sheet of Sailor Moon things because I wanted to draw Starlight too, and I was like, wait, why did you do that? Why did you draw a horse live on stream? What are you, out of your mind? Are you an insane person? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, my 3-year-old daughter has discovered Rainbow Bright, but unfortunately, my husband looked it up on YouTube and she started with the 2012 version.
The new one, yeah.
The new one. So I'm like, I walk in and I'm like, what is this? And he's like, they rebooted Rainbow Bright. And I'm like, no, where's my DVD? She needs the original.
I was like, no. Yeah, we got that. So thank you. Mayor Squish says we do it to sell toys. So it was all cartoons that were kind of like meant to sell the toys. But yeah, and they got talking, and it only has like 3 episodes or something like that. Like it got rebooted, but it has this crazy short run. And I was like, wait, what? I missed all of this. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't even know there was one. I had to Google it. And I mean, we watched the episodes that are out there and I'm like, this actually isn't bad. It's more action-y. I feel like it's geared towards a little bit older demographic than the original, but it wasn't terrible. The animation was a little iffy, but I mean, story-wise, it wasn't bad. Completely different. Completely, but not bad.
Oh, that's so funny.
Did you all have the Jackie Chan adventures?
Yes.
I was super into the Jackie Chan adventures. I remember that.
Oh my God. I can't believe I forgot about that. Yes.
I mean, that was 20 minutes right now, just really thinking hard to remember about it.
That one and the little like Persian cat one. Like it was a whole thing where it's just this little white cat and it had like little cat friends and but it had like, I think it was either the same company or because it had a very similar style to the Jackie Chan adventures. I know I can't remember the name of it, But also, those were like
few that had those kind of style for a while there, didn't they?
Yeah. I don't know if that was just the WB animation coming out, but gummy bears. Also, good morning, El Hanley. Yeah, She-Ra, Barbie, gummy bears.
Yes. We had stuff like Thomas the Tank Engine as well, and Bagpuss and the Clangers and the Wombles, and all of these sort of wholesome shows that were just rerun since the 60s, but done with stop motion or puppets or something like that.
I was gonna say, I know. One Thread 85 says they can't see what you're drawing, so I don't know if you're on a different layer that's not showing.
Oh. No, I think it's just my computer, like, having a minute.
It's a surprise, chat. And also, yes, it does. Like when they first started saying Thomas the Tank Engine, I was like, yeah. And then the next thing that you said, I was like, nope, that was definitely not one we had.
Yeah, there's quite a few, and they're just really old, and we just watch the same thing for decades in England, I guess. All right, I'm going to disconnect my iPad and reconnect it. Oh, wait, no, I'm just going to reconnect it because it turns out it hasn't been connected this whole time. I promise I have been drawing something. But I hope you've all been enjoying that blank sheet this entire time.
Oh, but thank you. Oh, look at that.
There we
so
go.
Yay!
Oh, there we go.
Oh, it was there. Then it
it's
disappeared
flickering
again.
something
There.
Come on.
Gambit is just too powerful. He's too powerful for the stream.
The internet says no. Oh, come on. All right, I'm going to disconnect it and see if I can get it to stop doing that. Aha. Stop.
And I know, again, we were talking before we all got on stream, and my tech will be fine. I will be working away happily. I will go to connect, and all of a sudden, like, my mic gets wonky, or, like, other stuff starts to be weird. I'm like, why? You were fine 15 minutes ago. Why are you now being pesky?
Why you do this?
Why?
How's that? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm scared to touch it. Okay. We'll see how that goes.
But also, as always, one, thank you, chat, for showing up and hanging out with us, and two, for letting us know, because I was looking up and I wasn't paying attention, and oh,
No, I wasn't either.
Yeah, so for Fancy mentioned, let me see if I can pull it back up, because I think on the so I loved the Tim Burton, Bob Ross, and South Park. But it's funny because while they are so different in style, they do have that kind of like big eye, hollowed out, like oddly shaped things. Like especially I'm thinking like Jack Skellington and Sally. Like they share weird similarities with South Park, even though I would not equate them as similar styles in my head. So it fits. Nope, no, don't close that. Save that. Thank you, Nightbot. Reminder for everyone to save their progress.
I've been on my iPad so long that I am so utterly out of the practice of having to save. Because it's where it saves automatically. And I'm terrified of the day I go back to working on a desktop computer and I'm like drawing something for 6 hours, like doo doo doo, and then the power cut or something, and it's all gone.
I will say, as long as you can get that like initial save, a lot of programs are getting better about having auto backups. But boy, when I realized I get to the end of one of my sketches and it's still untitled, I was like, I'm sorry, did you just spend a 2-hour thing drawing and you didn't save once? Are you insane? What are you doing? Don't do that. Don't do that, kids.
Bad artist habits.
Sounds like nightmare fuel. Get over there. There we go.
Yeah, was it? I think I think Jeff popped in our Discord and he dropped in the current Padme and Anakin meme with Clip Studio is crashing and it's like, you saved your work. You saved your work, right? And I was like, that's not funny, Jeffrey. That's not... He's not a Jeffrey. He's just a Jeff. But yeah. It's way too real. Like, I don't like that. I feel personally attacked. I'm in this picture and I don't like it.
I remember in college, you'd be working on something like a big project in Illustrator or Photoshop, and as soon as you got that Mac like spinny rainbow wheel, you're like, oh God, when is the last time I saved?
Mm-hmm.
The rainbow wheel of doom.
The rainbow wheel of doom.
I didn't study animation. I studied filmmaking, but I did animation in the course of doing that. But I used to get the same kind of thing when I was working in Premiere, video editing, and you'd edit like a whole film, and then it would like freeze, and you're like, no, when did I last save? When did I last save? And then you're like, I saved, like I saved like 10 minutes ago, tops. You're like, I saved. And then it crashes and you go through the process of reloading it and you come back and on your timeline there's like 2 video clips and you're like, no, there's nothing there.
Oh, it hurts so much.
I feel that pain. I do. It's the same as when you've done a whole layer and you're like, no, I totally saved. I know I did. And it reloads and it's just not there. Not there at all.
Yeah. Premiere went through an era for a while as well where, because it was auto-saving and it had like temp saves in place. I think this is the early days of Adobe trying to do save like recovery, where it overwrote what you actually saved with the very first temp save.
No.
Oh. Yeah. So for a while, I had to get into a habit of when I clicked save, and then I clicked save a copy, which I saved in a completely separate location so that there was a copy saved that wasn't connected to the temp save. So if it did it, we had something to go to.
Oh my God.
It was the very worst, the very, very worst thing. We're like, we literally just saved. What happened?
But why? Why would you do that? Oh my gosh.
Adobe's like, oh yeah, that's a known error. We're working on that. And I was like, what are you saying?
Oh, Adobe. Adobe, you have shaved so many years off of my life. Oh. Well, and it's always
funny, it's true.
It's yeah. Oh yeah. When you'll be drawing along and it starts to crash on you, but you maybe don't know it's crashing right away, so you'll still click, and you're like, oh gosh, if I could have just not clicked that last time, I wouldn't have made it mad, and maybe it will let me back in.
Like, I'm sorry, I take it back.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. Uh, yeah. Right, Mayor Squish? Like, these are shots right to the heart. Oh, God. Oh, my goodness. Also, partially because you're here, Megan, but I'm going so extra with my Sailor Moon one. Yeah, it's real extra. Guardian Randy says the worst program for me was always Flash when it would crash because there wasn't enough. Yeah, no, back in the day when we were using it in college, like, no, there was nothing. Like, you either saved and that's what you got, or nothing. And
oh man,
especially
I do
when
not
we
miss
were
those days.
No, I super don't. I super don't.
I think I went from Photoshop 7 all the way through to Photoshop CS5. So like any versions of Photoshop between and CS5, I did not use.
Wow.
So like I definitely didn't have autosave for the longest time.
I loved it the other day when we were chatting because Vic and I were remembering like Photoshop 7 was really good. And I know I held on to it for a long, long time. And then like my next jump, I think jumped me to CS2. But I remember vividly when Guardian Randy in chat like updated to the new Photoshop and it had the canvas rotation tools. And all of a sudden I was like, Photoshop. So apparently today is just the day where I work.
My stuff.
Oh, you're good. That's the beautiful thing about it is it can be as much or as little as you want. And I know, speaking of Jeff, he was flexing pretty hard because he does work really, really fast, but that is not a requirement.
There's a reason I pre-sketch.
Well, and it's a funny thing because if I'm just doing sketches like I'm doing right now, those go really fast. But if you actually want me to clean up my stuff and, oh gosh, if you want me to color it, like that's a whole separate thing that doesn't move as quickly. Yeah. I can't remember if we talked about it on stream one time, but so a little bit of a spoiler, also kind of we'll say a teaser for those of you who are in chat. So coming up relatively soon into July, Doodle Crew is going to be going on a short hiatus. But don't worry, because I've got content planned for all you lovely humans while we're away. And that includes interviews, one-on-one interviews with a lot of the artists. So yay! But in one of those, I was getting to talk to Jeff, and he and I have been doing cons together for a while. And there was a panel that we did relatively recently. Well, I guess recent-ish, because last year doesn't count, but within the last 5 years, where it was just us and a whole bunch of different artists, all of our friends at the show. And I'm not sure what the point of the panel had originally been, but it turned into just like the audience would throw us suggestions and we would just draw them. And we would pick and choose, which ones we wanted to do. And because he and I were sitting next to each other and SpongeBob came up and I was like, Jeff, I'll race you. I was like, I'll race you drawing SpongeBob. So we had a race between the two of us to draw SpongeBob. And cleanup and coloring doesn't move as quickly, said looking at Randall's Mega Man.
SpongeBob off.
Yep. So, because I would sit next to him and I'd be sketching away and he'd be like, okay, next. I'm like, seriously? And he's like, what? And I was like, don't talk to me. Get out of here. But it was so much fun and I just love it. morning, Bean. Hey, hi. Forging Minton, welcome. And also to your point, Randall, the lucky thing about having multiple artists on these streams is that so then when we start releasing the content from the streams, like it gives us a little bit of padding to actually finish our work before it's our time to post it. So I like that. That was a nice cushion for us. Oh my, Bean! It's only 11:40 in the morning. I guess for me, it might be 10:40 for you. Are you streaming today? Oh, nice. Excellent. Yeah, so for anybody who is newer in chat or unfamiliar, Forging Winton in chat is a very, very cool blacksmith. And if you follow his Twitch, you can actually watch him live forge things, which is dope.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Mayor Squish, I completely approve of this scale and would like it to be the one that we use for the rest of the time. So I have to ask, because I know I didn't pick this style and I don't think either of you did. Were there any shows that really, really turned you off because of their style, where you're just like, I won't watch that because I don't like it? And I'll say, for me, the one I'm immediately thinking of is Ed, Edd n Eddy. And I know I missed out because it's legit funny and it's got good writing, but I hated the style so much that I couldn't get behind it. And I just ignored that whole show. So no.
I definitely
there's
watched
anything else.
Ed, Edd n Eddy, but it didn't like turn me off. The art style of it, I didn't mind that so much. It rode the line for me.
Yeah, Ed, Edd n Eddy is right on. Yeah, I would agree. Right on the line for me, because that sketchy animation has always kind of bugged me.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I definitely watched it though, because it was on. And I can't think of anything that I would have said no to drawing, except for maybe that, just because of the squiggly lines.
Yeah. Which is funny because like so Squiggle Vision is very much specific to that. Like that was made up on a dare, but then there is the offshoot of that, which is the actual style of line broil. And that is that, like just slightly offset animation style that gives you that little bit of wiggle. So it's weird because they're two separate things, but it, like, even with that, I'm like, I still don't love it. I'm sorry, I don't love it. Yeah.
I think I wasn't keen on the Rugrats style.
Yes, that was the other one I was thinking. It felt dirty, and I think it was just the color palette they used, but it felt like muddy to me.
But you know where that works? That kind of squiggly, rough animation with the muddy colors is Real Monsters.
Exactly. Because I really enjoyed that.
Yep. You're saying it, and I'm remembering the title, and I know I've seen it, but for the life of me, I can't even visualize what that show looks like.
So it had the great little like
that.
Yeah, like the little fat guy who was kind of like flesh colored and he would hold his eyeballs up, and then you had the tall, stringy, like beanpole black and white lady with the huge lips. And yeah, it was a whole vibe. Also, I will say, like, Rocko's Modern Life had a similar coloring style, but that one also didn't bother me. So
I just found Rocko's Modern Life story-wise and kind of the jokes and stuff, like, I wasn't really into it.
Oh, I definitely remember enjoying Biker Mice from Mars. Gargoyles was another one.
Oh, Gargoyles was my jam. I could not get enough of that because it was done by Disney animators. So I was like, excuse me, this is something I already love, and it's a badass lady cop and cool monsters. Yes, more, please. More of this, please.
I feel like Gargoyles paved the way or something, you know, like the sort of like darker gothic shows. Like, no,
yeah. Well, and I love thinking about, you know, listening to the background information about Batman the Animated Series, where because they knew they were going to set so much of it at night, they end up drawing and creating on black paper, because that way they don't have to literally like tone down everything and color everything black. They just start with that darker palette. And I was like, oh, that's so cool.
Oh, that's really neat.
That's so cool. Yeah. Confession to the chat if you couldn't. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Sometimes I think I do this cartoon specific show just so that I can nerd out on all the weird cartoon knowledge that I have stored in my head that I don't get to use at any other point in my life. Because I talk about these shows to my students and they're like, but Miss Emily, we weren't even born yet. And I was like, yeah, I know. I know, kids, I know. It's fine. I'll be fine.
And we were told to watch shows on cassette. Television went off after a certain hour of the day.
Oh, to that point, I had the most amazing conversation with my students a couple weeks ago. I don't know how it came up. I don't know if it's getting a resurgence. I don't know what's happening, because my little guys who are like 5 and 8, one of the little 5-year-old draws the Titanic all the time. So I don't know where that came from. But the older class was talking about how they were so excited to watch the Titanic movie, except for the yucky part. And I was like, oh, yeah, no, don't definitely skip the yucky part. But then I got to blow their absolute minds when I told them, I was like, when it was first released, it came in 2 VHSs, and you'd have to stop the movie halfway through and put in the next VHS.
How many people,
and they're just like,
how many of them compared it to like the Lord of the Rings special edition?
Yeah, and they're just like, wait, why did you have to do that? No, it's because that's how we could watch it. Oh God. Yep. Yep. I was like, oh my goodness. But I also just like
this guy. Otherwise, I'm just going to be drawing him for the next however long.
Oh, but he looks so good. Oh, Lost Limey, that's awesome. Yes. Voice actors. So another friend of the stream, our friend Bread, was playing Psychonauts for the first time. And it was so funny because he was going on about how he's like, man, this voice sounds really familiar. And then we spent like the next 10 minutes of chat just going through and reading the bio of the person who was doing the voice acting. And like that actor had been in so much stuff. I was like, oh my gosh, he was this and this thing and this and this thing. And yeah, it was so good because I was just like, oh my gosh, like you get attached to those voices, and then when they pop up, it's just exciting. And 1000% to Gargoyles being a Star Trek reunion. I'm positive that is also a part of why I loved it so much. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Riker and it's Worf, and I love all of them. Yep. Oh, it's funny. Yeah, for a while when it was really, really hard to get DVD copies of our old cartoons, I definitely like sought out and tracked down Gargoyles. And I only have the first season, but it was one of those where I was like, I need to own this. This is a thing I will continue to rewatch. And at the time there wasn't a Disney Plus, so there wasn't a way to watch it. And I was like, no, I need it.
Gots to have it.
It's important.
Well, you will not believe how difficult it was to find that Rainbow Bright DVD either. Like, you would think the nostalgia factor would make these things easier to find, but they're not. They're not.
Well, I wonder, do you think it's because like some of it, like the originals are either locked away somewhere or like they didn't have like a lot of backups? So, you know, are you either finding like people who've remastered them themselves or...
That's fair, especially for some of the companies that no longer exist, like the 80s animation companies that are gone. I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah. I know so hopefully at some point, hopefully this gets released. I was working on an animation podcast with a friend, and I did a whole research episode for the anime episode we were going to run, and I didn't realize in Japan specifically, going through from literally like turn of the century from 1800s to 1900s, it's fine,
it's all fine, everything's on fire, it's fine,
it's fine. But they went through, like, there was a tremendous earthquake, and then there was, you know, like the industry itself collapsed like 3 times, and they had to like then start everything back up again and rebuild from the ground up. And it amazes me for them to then, like, at one point they were, we'll say, behind Disney on production quality and stuff like that. So then to take that also in the process of rebuilding and still explode into the monster of an industry they are now. Like, I didn't realize how much they had gone through to get to the point they are now, because I think I just kind of assumed it was like, well, no, they've always been kind of a powerhouse. But it was really like every time they would start to be building up to really high popularity, like, you know, there was an earthquake, and then there was World War II, and like it just, yeah, it was really, really cool to dig into that, because I didn't understand the history behind it.
That's really cool.
Chat. Frank Welker's IMDb. Ooh, let me get my thing back. So Last Limey says, let's start this. I know how to do this. Frank Welker's IMDb page is amazing for sheer volume of voice credits. When Billy freaking West describes you as a god of voice acting, you're doing something right. Hell yes. Oh my gosh, I love it. Diana also says it could be like Doctor Who during the Hartnell and Troughton eras, where they didn't keep backups and only aired, only to be recorded over it. That's a really good point. Oh, that's so cool. There's actually a whole like archaeological story of how they discovered lost Troughton Who episodes. That is really, really dope. Thank you. Yeah, I love it, because I admit, as I'm wearing my TARDIS necklace today, which Megan bought me, I only got into it from the reboot, from season 9, Doctor Number 9 on. So it wasn't until I was already into it and watching that I started to become more familiar with some of the history of it. So yeah, that's really cool. Well, and so this is good. So Mayor Squish in chat, her and Soapbox Klotz, who have both been on this show and are awesome, and I know I've talked about it before, have their podcast Crash Test Pilots, but they were awesome enough to bring myself and Kruggles, who is the lady I do Sketching Shakespeare with, and I'm also on In Addition with, and we got to have a great Doctor Who roundtable all about New Who. And that was very, very cool. And, you know, talk about history of it before, but mostly just the impact of it since it got released. And then we'll say once it was so much fun. Once it came over to the US, and actually got to start to appreciate the Doctor.
I definitely only followed Doctor Who since the reboot, but there is a very heavy prevailing culture of Doctor Who in the UK, as I'm sure you can imagine.
I could believe that.
I was tabled opposite. I've forgotten his name. Which Doctor it was? The one with the scarf and the big curly hair. That one.
Baker? Is that Tom Baker?
Tom Baker, yes.
Yeah.
I was tabled opposite Tom Baker at a convention once. Because
oh my gosh.
I think he lives pretty local to where I used to live. And I ended up at a convention. I'm like, oh, it's Tom Baker. And like, what is interesting is the range of ages of people who would like flock to his table to see him and talk to him. And it was sort of nice to see like, oh, okay, so I personally like original Doctor Who was before my time. And I watched the reboot, but I don't think that sort of put everybody off. But it's still very alive and well in a lot of people's minds, I think. My mum and my grandma, well, my grandma mostly tells the story that as a child, my mum was taken because she insisted on it. Like, she's like 5 years old or something. She wanted to go see a Doctor Who exhibition at their local museum or something where they had the real TARDIS and the real Daleks there as well.
Oh my
and
God.
My grandmother paid great expense to get them in, and they walked in the door and my mum took one look at this Dalek, and it's actually, like, in real life, they're huge. It's terrifying. And like, at that point on TV, they were particularly scary. Like, it seems hilarious now. It's like a dustbin with a mop poking out the front end. But like, it was really scary at that point. And apparently my mother screamed and ran away and wouldn't go back in.
Oh no! So. Oh my God, that's such the perfect little kid move, though. Like, oh, it's so good.
Classic.
Gosh, I love that. No, I think it speaks to the quality of storytelling, that the fact that a character that is designed that way can still be an intimidating presence on screen, because they should just be laughable. But some of those episodes, like, no, you like, they're scary because not because of their visuals, but because of like how many there are or what they're doing. And yeah,
the story set up. I think it's also fun knowing how much of Who was made in Wales as well, and how, like, sort of the history of BBC context. It's been really interesting watching it evolve, because historically BBC shows are very, very low budget, and there are a few primary BBC locations across the UK, Cardiff being one of them. So you can see, like, everything's filmed somewhere in Wales or something. And then, like, at a certain point when it started getting popular, you could see that the budget went up a bit and they started going a little further afield. But it is quite fun trying to spot the places they go and be like, oh, I've been there. That's not an alien planet. That's down the road from something.
No, that's awesome. Well, and to speak to Diana's point in chat, when she's saying that, they only have limited actors, it has become a very fun game for me to play the what do I know this actor from when they pop up in different things. Like when I was watching Broadchurch, I mean, obviously it's got David Tennant, but it's also got Rory, and it has the lady who goes on to play the Queen in The Crown, but I also knew her from that one episode of Doctor Who, and now seen her in other stuff, and it just... Yeah, thank you. I could not. I was like, what is her name? She's amazing, and I love her, and I cannot think of her name. But yeah. I just love it, where they just... And I was like, everybody's friends with everybody, and I've talked extensively about how much I love. It's what I love about the Big Fat Quiz Show and stuff like that, where any chance you get a whole bunch of British comedians together, and like the camaraderie that they have and the play that they have is so good that it just was like, no, this is wonderful. I just want more, please.
We do have more than 20 actors, but you wouldn't think it.
Oh.
What's that mean? Star Wars, Doctor Who, and Harry Potter covers the entirety.
It does. That and Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones also.
Yep.
That covers anybody else
there's
that
a lot
the
of
top
crossover
3
in
didn't
that.
miss.
Yeah. The second wave.
Well, and I remember like something silly, not silly, but I found it a little bit funny. So off the bat, I'm a huge Jane Austen fan. I enjoy the novels, but I also really like the television remakes and the movies and stuff like that, save for a couple of them. But I was a huge fan of the Colin Firth and Jennifer Eel version of Pride and Prejudice. It's always been my favorite. Again, came on multiple VHS tapes because it's really long, but I watched it.
Had that box set myself.
Oh, I loved it so much. But I had a freak out moment when she pops up as Geoffrey Rush's wife in the King's Speech, also with Colin Firth. I was like, wait, I know her. I was like, oh my gosh, that's Elizabeth Bennet. I'm gonna call her Jane, wrong name. But yeah, so good. So I was just like, oh, that makes me happy. Yeah. Yes, Jenna Coleman.
That, like, last weekend.
Nice. Oh, I love it so much. Yes, Young Victoria. The Victoria series was very good. And Jenna Coleman did a very good job in it. Also, the man who plays her wife. Nope. Wow. Why can't I talk anything? The man who plays her husband, Brained, is very attractive.
Just say that's an unexpected. Maybe I should watch that show.
He's got great floofy hair. He's just got great hair. Yeah. No, that one is fun. And I also, I'm a sucker for the period pieces because I love the costuming and everything that they do. Yeah, same. I can't do weird word association with my brain today. All right. Got one more little goober, and then we're going to color. Yes, Diana. Yeah, seeing Matt Smith play Prince Philip was, now, to his absolute credit, he kills it at both roles. But you could not get like farther apart as like comedy or just quality of character. Obviously, I know he's playing a real person, but he did a great job. And we'll say Prince Philip in The Crown is not always super likable, but he knocks it out of the park. I was just like, oh dang, I've seen you be really great, but not like this. And yeah, I was surprised about that. And you get to see his little butt at one point, which was nice. Oh, faux fancy. That is very good to know because I have the DVDs as well. But if I can just toss it on in the background, I'll just watch it. I love it.
I watched that version of Pride and Prejudice and Twister pretty much on repeat. A summer in high school. I was stuck at my grandmother's and she didn't have TV. So yeah, that was pretty much all I watched. I just rotated them around.
Twister was my one of my college roommates movie. Like I would constantly come come back home from class and she would have that on. I was like, didn't we just watch this? But I'm gonna watch it again because I can't stop myself. Oh, that's funny. At this point, it's probably been 15 years since I've watched Twister. But
Oh yeah, go back and watch
the
those
movie
nice
Twister, you mean?
CGIs.
yeah, movie Twister.
Probably my favorite scene is the cow.
Oh no.
There goes the cow. Oh, another cow. No, I'm pretty sure that's the same cow.
The budget only allowed for one cow.
Only one CGI cow. That's all you get for the whole movie.
Yeah. Oh, I'm also I want to ask, but I don't want to know. Like, what year did that come out? Because
90. Hold on, I'll look it up.
No, it's gonna hurt. I'm not gonna like it.
It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. Hold on. 96.
Oh my gosh.
Is that the same year Independence Day came out? Hold on.
I thought Independence Day was later. Yeah.
Nope, same year.
Was it? Oh my god! Stop it! Stop! Oh, I was 10. I was 10. Faux Fancy. Yes. Sense and Sensibility with Emma Thompson. Oh, yeah. And I feel so bad because I used to come down so hard on Kate Winslet's Marianne. And it's really just the character. It's not her. She plays it beautifully, but it was a tough character. But that movie is so gorgeous, top to bottom. It's so good. And it's Alan Rickman being super cute. And sigh. Was it Ang Lee? Is he who directed that one? I think. I say that with very little confidence. Hey. Oh, so confession for Fancy. I have never actually watched Much Ado with Emma Thompson. I need to. I want to, especially now that I'm literally doing a Shakespeare stream. But I have not watched it. But I know of it because I'm pretty sure my mom watched it. But it's also like Wuthering Heights. Like I just had no interest in watching Wuthering Heights. But I will watch the shit out of Jane Eyre. I've seen 4 different versions of it. I will still watch all of them. I know it's not Jane Austen, but
I like that with Pride and Prejudice. Any version of Pride and Prejudice I can get. We had this great version, a TV series, like a mini series they made. I don't know if you guys got it over here, called Lost in Austin.
Which is found it on YouTube.
A modern day woman who's
it
just messes up the whole story, but it's very good.
Well, and I like her. I can't remember the actress's name, but I like her, that I've seen her in other stuff, and I enjoy her.
I actually can't remember her name either.
I always get her mixed up with Felicity. Oh no, can't think of her last name. Who played in Star Wars? They're not the same person, but my brain is broken. I love that Keanu does a pretty decent villain, and Denzel's in it. Keaton Dogberry. She's yeah. Oh my gosh, Faux Fancy. It's like baby Keanu. He's so little.
Oh, Keanu Reeves, who has no idea what he's saying in that movie. Bless him.
Is that the one does that have Kenneth Branagh? Is he in that one too?
He is, yes. And a few other people aside. It's pretty like star heavy cast.
Yeah. I remember seeing like the lineup and I was like, oh my gosh, how did they get all of these people? Nope, not number 2.
I can always move these around.
That's because I did it. All right, let's fix this. But there's an. Oh, faux fancy. That's cool to know. I would very much enjoy looking into that. I did not know about that one. Yes, Keanu, known for his flawless British accents. Faux Fancy never apologize for being a nerd about anything, and especially with movies. Yeah, no, we love it. And again, it's the brain trust that I love, because obviously, as you've watched me flat out struggle on stream today, my brain doesn't always work right. So having you guys know this stuff is dope. So I'm here for it. Yes. So Guardian Randy asking both Megan and Vic what you both are using, and I believe it's both Procreate.
I am.
Yes, I am.
Procreate.
Yes. So I recently discovered the reference thing you can do on layers, and that really helps with filling in large areas of color. Because when I first started out, I was just, like using different size brushes and coloring it in like you would color in paper. But the reference really makes it easier because it reads whatever layer you toggle that on as, so if you use the line art and you toggle that, it reads the line art and fills in the areas on a different layer.
I'm not aware of that feature. I'm going to have to look into it.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. I can do it right here. So I'm on my line art, and you just click on the layer, you click on reference, you build a layer under it, and then you can just plop in your color.
Oh, good to know.
Of course, my problem is I forget to click off the reference layer and wind up coloring on the wrong layer.
But I never do that. I'm always on the right layer. These are lies. Right. Nicole wants to set up a a thing in chat for my Twitch stream that is a counter of how many times Emily is coloring on the wrong layer. Yeah, so that's a thing. Exactly. Exclamation point. Also, yes, faux fancy, 100% ADHD brain. There are bees in my head and worms in my brain, and I can't always get everything to work the way that I would like it to. Yeah, there's a lot happening in there. And yeah, so to your point, Guardian Randy, the studio that I teach at just recently invested in some iPads with Procreate. And as I'm going to be teaching some digital art classes, they let me take one home and start to work on it. Because I was like, no, like the technique stuff, obviously I know, and I can teach digital art, but I haven't worked on an iPad. I haven't worked in Procreate. Like I still need to learn the software myself before I teach it. Some of the stuff they can do is so cool. And I was like, oh no, do I want one? Do I want one of these? No, we can't buy another piece of technology right now. Oh. Yep. Well, and from the chat that Vic and I were having the other day, they were telling me that kind of got to cut your teeth on iPad, not because you maybe necessarily wanted to, but because you had to, from your very specific circumstances right now. Thank you, global pandemic.
Yeah, I wasn't working exclusively on an iPad prior to the pandemic. I think I was saying about this when we had our chat the other week. That I used to draw on my desktop computer, and I just got a Cintiq and everything sort of set up. So I was working in Photoshop, and I was even going to start branching out into other tools and softwares. And I grabbed an iPad so that I had an option to produce artwork on the go as well. And I came to visit my wife, who lived here in Texas. And I took my iPad with me, and then a global pandemic happened, and I am still here, and all my stuff is still in England. So thank God I had the iPad. Otherwise, I think I really would have been shit out of luck. But it's been an education trying to do so I literally just finished doing a whole comic book, and that is all been drawn on the iPad. So that's been a challenge to figure out, because there's a lot of stuff that I don't have the facility to do in Procreate, but I've had to try and figure out a way to do it all within Procreate.
So out of curiosity, because
simultaneously don't recommend it, but it also worked. So
yeah, that trial by fire.
Yeah.
So out of curiosity, how do you manage page layout in Procreate? Because that's been the one thing that I don't really like. If I do a comic, I don't want to do it in Procreate because I'm like, how does page layout work?
So when you say page layout, do you mean like drawing borders and panels and stuff?
Yep.
Okay, so very specifically to figure out how to do this, I made a custom brush that is just perfectly square and that doesn't have any kind of fading on it. And then I turn on the draw assist so that it locks to horizontal or vertical lines. And then using my perfectly square brush, I set it to the exact width that I want it, and I draw a vertical or a horizontal dead straight line, and I join them up, and I do it like that, basically.
Okay.
So I can show you. I've got it here. So I have a lot of custom brushes. This is the custom brush. It's just totally square. So if I make it really big, boom, that's it. It's just square. So then if I turn on draw assist, I can draw a line, and I can draw a line, make a box. And then inevitably it involves going in, selecting the same brush as an eraser, and then tidying it up. But that's how I do it.
That's not bad.
So it's
that's not bad at all.
It is painfully manual process, but that's it. I think about Photoshop where I just draw a line, connect it up, and I can, but whatever. But that's it. You get the idea. That's how I do that. It took some figuring out, because for the longest time I was like, I can't draw comics. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah. No, I actually invested in Clip Studio because it specifically had a comic facet to it and was made for that. Because that was always my issue. I was like, literally the whole page looks nice, and then I go in to put my borders and they look so bad.
See, I tried out Clip Studio to begin with when I got here, and I was like, oh, thank God there's a program that just does it. That'll work. Perfect. And then I was stuck in immigration limbo, and I wasn't allowed to work, and my wife got partially furloughed, and I had no money, so I couldn't pay for Clip Studio.
Oh.
So I was like, bugger. Figure out another solution then. I had to figure out Procreate. And I did. And I like the rest of Procreate's features. And eventually, I think I will explore Clip Studio again, because there's a lot of features in that I really like, that are really cool. But I am glad I figured it out. And as I say, it worked.
No, that's awesome. I got lucky and I picked up Clip Studio when they were running a sale, and I think I only paid $25 to own the program because I was in the same limbo. I was like, I can't pay for the monthly subscription to Adobe stuff. I don't have the budget for this right now, and I need to own the program. Yeah. But also to catch up on chat, hi, hello, good morning, he who is Steve. Thanks for popping in. And to answer your question, Diana, it is not my birthday yet, but it's coming. It's coming up. There will be there will be 35 coming up in July. So, yay. Mid 30s. Yay!
Come join us, Emily.
Yeah. So, also, what up, Soapbox Clots? Hi, welcome. Yes, and to Faux Fancy's point, let's see. Yeah, I know we've talked about it on multiple things, and you can hear me talk about it when I talk about my education in school, but the amount of, I would watch a TikTok and someone be like, oh, here's a quick tip for Procreate. And I was like, you're just sharing this stuff? Like, this community's just out there. So I'd follow them, and then that would lead me to YouTube, and I'd follow all these other people who were just doing little tips and tricks that they had found by working in this program. And it makes it so much less daunting because even though a lot of software runs similarly, it's still learning a new program, and that still can be frustrating if you've gotten comfortable in one. So finding the online art communities who are just happily sharing, they're like, oh, look at this cool thing that I found, and now you can do this. Yeah, so that's awesome.
Bless those people.
Yeah. Yes. Mayor Squishy said it so much better than I did.
I've never
Go ahead.
I've never had time to pay for proper Photoshop education stuff, so I've just had to self-teach like a lot of people have. And so I've been using Photoshop for I don't know how long, 14 years or something. And then sometimes someone will post something in TikTok. I'll be like, hey, did you know? And I'm like, I did not know. My world has changed. Bless you.
Yep. Oh, my itchy eye. Yeah, it's also some of those where I was like, wait, but seriously, I went 14 years and I never knew this very simple thing that would have said, I mean, I'm happy now, but
So happy.
So happy.
Super happy.
And I mean, there's great community chat happening in our chat right now, but I love that. And I know that certain communities on the internet can be, kind of rough, but boy, is it nice to find a place where the people are welcoming and everybody is supportive, and you can feel free to ask questions and get the answers you're looking for, and find people who are also, asking the same questions, and that's really, really nice. Yes. Also, Control Z in real life would be the most amazing thing.
I've definitely spent too long drawing on my iPad and then gone and drawn on paper and tried to edit undo by double tapping the paper. That's happened more than once. Yep. I'm like, oh yeah, this is real life.
I went to work.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, I was working on a sketch card commission about a month ago, and I've heard people say that, working in digital, and then they do things, and I'm like, that's not a thing. And I'm sitting here, and I went to press and zoom on the sketch card.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Zoom in on my sketchbook. I was like, oh, this needs to be bigger because I'm inking, and I was like, oh gosh, what have I done to my brain? I wanted Zoom. We are.
Why isn't this? Oh yeah, it's paper.
Oh my gosh, it's too funny. Oh.
It's nice to actually talk to other artists. I've learned about that reference layer thing for Procreate just from being here. Like, it's so easy to just work in isolation. I will say that the internet is good for that. The better part of my artistic years have been spent just in a room by myself, where you learn nothing.
Yeah. Well, and it's been interesting as a teacher who obviously, is in her mid-30s. So I grew up, before the internet was the tool it was. But even with the students I have now, there is still value to being able to learn the vocabulary so that you then know how to ask the questions, because that was definitely something I struggled with even when the internet was starting to become more accessible. Like, I didn't always know what it was that I was trying to search for to get the correct Google search to kick back out my information. I was like, okay, so like I need to color on this layer, but I need it to not affect this layer. How do I actually word that? Because I don't know like the ins and outs of it. So there's still value in that, like growing up through and kind of doing it the analog way of pencil and paper, or then like rudimentary digital art, because then once they've got that, it also opens up so much more options for them to go and seek out their own information, and kind of that teaching the kids how to teach themselves, which is very cool. And that's rewarding when they come back and be like, oh, I looked up this cool thing and now I can do this. And yeah, that gets really exciting for me.
I agree. Important skills. And it's not like they were teaching us that when we were kids, because the internet wasn't the same thing. I wonder if they do that in schools now. Like, do they train kids for like, okay, this is how to frame the question you're trying to find the information for?
At least I hope so. And I hope so, especially when it comes to, finding resources and getting, we'll say, actual facts versus opinions. And how to double check your sources, just like we used to have to do with multiple print copies at the library. Now on the internet.
I just tried the reference layer thing and I'm super happy.
Yay! Yay! Time saver.
It doesn't always work for me because I do an awful lot of drawing where I don't connect the lines. So it becomes just like, oh, look, it filled the whole page. But for some things like this where it works, I'm like, yes, perfect. But yeah,
Awesome.
Frustratingly, a lot of how I draw ends up not making that possible, but a little loosey-goosey in my art style.
I enjoy that there are simultaneously 3 separate conversations happening in chat right now, and I adore all of you humans. You're wonderful. Well, and I think, and this is, I don't know if this is just because I come from an education side of things with some of it. When it comes to Procreate specifically, there are moments where I get frustrated because the app and the technology has evolved so much that things are easy to do because, again, they cut their teeth on Photoshop 2 and all of that up. But I dislike the idea that just because the app itself is more powerful and has more of these fundamentals to it, that makes the artists who are creating digital art today any less valid as artists. Because it's like, you still have to have the ideas, you still have to have the application, even if the tools that you are using have grown and changed. It doesn't make you any less valid. And that really bothers me because no, they still have to know how to use the program. They still have to have the idea that they want to create, even if they found cool ways to work through it. So
it's no less like people who paint versus people who use coloring pencils or people who use markers or something in traditional mediums. They're different tools to produce artwork. Is it cheating if you make artwork with clay instead of painting it or something? Is it not artwork because you're using a different material? And the digital tools really are just just that. I reckon just different tools to still produce artwork. So you still have to know how they work, and you still have to know how to manipulate them and be able to create what you're trying to achieve with it.
Exactly.
So yeah, I agree. It's not what I meant to do.
Oh, Steve, I really like that. So he who is Steve in chat says, let me jump back over to Bing. Joel Haver said it really well. Anything that makes art accessible and easier to produce is a good thing, because art should be for everyone. Hell yes, art should be for everybody.
Yeah, I'm not here for any kind of art gatekeeping.
Exactly.
I found that discussion taking place a lot around October because of all the people who do Inktober. Because I'm predominantly a digital artist. I have done traditional artwork as well. I've gone through phases of that, but I know that that's particularly a conversation that tends to come up around that time.
Yep.
And it's a frustrating one.
It is. And I can appreciate that. Possibly at the start, when Jake Parker threw this out there, his thought was it's going to be an excuse for artists to work on their traditional inks. But it never had to only be that. Like, at the end of the day, distilled down, any monthly art challenge should be, we're doing this because we love to create art every day, and we want to participate in this online community that's doing art every day. It really shouldn't matter more beyond that.
I agree.
Absolutely. And he even, I think at one point he even came out and said, no, digital is fine. You know,
Yeah.
I did this for people to draw. Like, why is this an issue?
Yeah. Yep.
I've somehow lost my layer with my thingy bobs on it, my grid, so
Oh
no. That's okay though. I still have my list over here, so I'll just pop that over there. I'm not sure I did that. Just delete it at some point. Disney. Oy. This is which is gonna grind me to a halt.
Yes, Lost Limey, don't worry about it too much. There is a mature content warning on our Doodle Crew streams, and I have told the artists before that they have, aside from us possibly violating terms of service when it comes to Twitch and nudity in our art, yeah, the chat is open and we are open, so swears are okay. And strong language. Yes, just no hate speak, but you guys are always great about that, so. About not doing that, not about doing it. But also, hi, good morning, Simkin. Welcome, welcome. It's all you, Steve. You are the problem child. You... The other reason I had to put the mature warning on the show. There is, so Guardian Randy talking about there's a place so he's in Pittsburgh with Captain Planet themed drinks, and I am very curious about this. I would like to know more. Yeah, Faux Fancy, we do. We have we have a Doodle Crew Discord. It's a part of my referred to as the Swanburger Cantina. So there are Patreon levels that you could get into, but also, yeah, if you'd like to come in and hang out and see some of our art, hit me up offline once we're off stream, and yeah, I can hook you up with that. Come be friends.
I think this Disney star is going to be especially hard because I've chosen a character that doesn't really have pupils in his eyes in the same way as a normal person does.
Just sitting there like, oh no, I've made a terrible mistake. Oh, but it looks so good.
I'm going to just do some terrifying pupils in the middle of that. That's worse. That's definitely worse. Oh wow.
Oh, very like Kida from Atlantis when she gets the crystal and her eyes go full filled in.
So a character in my comic is a tiefling character and she has block colored eyes. And I was like, that's gonna be really difficult to make her like emote properly or to even to know where she's looking. So I've given her like the faintest glowy pupil that's just a slightly different color of yellow. But it's a challenge, just still.
Well, and I think that's something so cool as all of us who all create comics, that there are things like when you're doing the initial character design that look so cool and you're like, oh, this is going to be awesome. And then as you actually bring that character into your story, certain things I was like, why did I draw the clothes like this or like the tail like that? Because now I have to figure out how that tail, like they're sitting down. Where does the tail go, Emily? What did you do that for? Why did you make this so much harder on yourself?
Or when you design a character that's heavily asymmetrical, I'm like, no, what did I do? I used to have a webcomic and I had a character who was asymmetrically designed. And at a certain point, I was like, she's going to have a haircut, guys. And to make her magically symmetrical because I can't handle it anymore. Trying to draw her like multiple panels. And she's just like, I don't even know how to draw her from the other angle. This is bad. I've made a mistake.
Oh, I love it so much. Yes, Mayor Squish brings up tattoos and pattern clothing. Yes, so one of the comics that I am most proud of and had so much fun doing involved a character who had a tattoo of Amy Winehouse, and that was part of the interaction in the story. Is that the tattoo was talking to her, and so luckily I could treat that tattoo like a character. But to have I had to make sure that as I set up panels, if I wanted to have the human character who was wearing the tattoo interact with the tattoo, she had to be facing certain ways. She had to I had to frame all the pages so that you could still see the tattoo, so you knew who she was talking to. And it was fun, but oh my gosh, my brain. Apparently, I just decided not to finish drawing that hand at one point. Well, that's cool. He who is Steve, that is a great question. Great question from the audience. Did the tattoo of Amy Winehouse have Amy Winehouse's tattoos? So no, I'm trying to think if I added any. She had the beehive hair, and I picked a very kind of static. I think she was holding onto a microphone picture, but I think I made the conscious decision not to give her all of her tattoos because I didn't want to lose my mind for only 8 pages. Yeah, I think I did. I think I skipped all of them. But yeah.
another character in my comic has tattoos, and I have to draw it from my reference sheet every time just to make sure it's accurate. Because I think if I start going too far off, I'll start referring to the last time I drew it. And it'll gradually morph into something very different.
Yep. When I was first creating stuff and I only had like a couple of original characters, I was like, no, there'll never be a time where I don't remember, what they were wearing or how I drew that. And then like, as I created more stuff and I went back, it's like someone was like, oh, could you draw this character? I'm like, do you have reference
Nope.
of this character I designed? Oops.
Sure can't.
Yep. Well, I think she looked like this. I don't remember. Oh gosh. Yeah, it's good. It's good. No, what's that hair? Oh, yes. Also, faux fancy. Let me do this. This might be. Oh. All right. Let me invite people.
My dog being vigilant. People are daring to exist outside.
How dare they?
How dare. I know.
All right, let me see. Sorry, I'm trying to multitask this and be real good at it. Can I whisper? Yes. Okay. Yeah, so Full Fancy, I sent you a message through Twitch. So that should work. If not, let me know. Ooh, okay. One, Steve, I'm kind of surprised. I didn't think you would be a Team Gambit, but yeah. You didn't enjoy their take on his accent in the movies. I feel so bad too because I really like that actor and he's really talented, but
I was so ready for Gambit, and I was so devastated when that's what they did. I was like, no.
No,
Go back.
No.
Undo. Control Z. Control Z. The whole thing.
No. Control Z. No. Try again. So I heard they keep trying to remake or they keep trying to make a Gambit movie starring Channing Tatum. Apparently he's
which is such a weird pick for me, but okay.
I've spent a lot of time thinking about it, and I think it could work. It's not the Gambit I think we all expected. It's not the Gambit that we expected when we saw the trailer of that movie initially.
Yeah.
But then we didn't get that Gambit either.
That's true.
So
I mean, you're not. I don't think you'll get that Cajun accent with Channing Tatum, but it could work. Otherwise, he's got the action. He's got the magic mic. We could work with it.
Yeah.
He's pretty versatile.
He's got comedy chops. He's got good timing.
Yeah. Oh, poor Stephen Chan. He said, "Oh, the stuff they just make him do a country accent like in Logan Lucky." Also, Guardian Randy, I think you nailed it. He says Keanu for Gambit. We already discussed how perfect he is at accents. Yep. Nailed it. I would honestly though, I would watch the shit out of Keanu playing Gambit.
Wow. That's a very different movie.
Oh yeah.
Watch it.
Oh my gosh.
If there's not a petition, there needs to be.
So I don't think he could do the accent, but the guy that I think would be really good, like for visual for me, is the one who played Constantine on the like DC shows. DC? Yeah, he's DC. I can't think of the actor's name. Let me look it up.
Oh my god. Yeah, look it up. I can't remember his name.
Because he's got that like the attitude that I think of, and he's kind of lanky, like, but also
he works a trench coat.
No, not the Keanu Reeves movie. The other one, Matt Ryan. Yes, thank you, Simkin. Yeah, like I feel like for me, the visual of like Matt Ryan fits the Gambit in my head. But yes, of Liverpool.
I'm gonna have to Google this.
I do think it's funny. I knew it was gonna when I got onto IMDb, it was gonna pop up with the Constantine Keanu Reeves movie, and I was like, no, I know, not him. We already covered him.
Like, we covered that.
Hey, you're
talking
already about Keanu Reeves, right?
I mean, yeah, you're right. I am.
This just doesn't look Disney at all, but never mind.
Oh, it's reminded me of something though.
Something else. I mean, this looks a little bit esque like this, with these sort of crazy pupils. But
I think it's honestly, I think it's a little bit like it's got a little bit of gargoyles, but there's something else like a slightly more cartoony that I can't. Oh, it's in there, and I can't put my finger on it. But I I love the expression so much.
I really cannot do Disney, much to my dismay as a person who for a minute was like, I'm going to be an animator. Ha No, you won't. No, you won't. For many reasons, one of which being it can't do Disney. It's fine. I let it go. I'm over it. I'm not bothered. It's fine.
Yeah, that was me in 2007, not even. Yeah, 2007, graduating with a degree in animation, being like, I will never work for Disney because I am not good enough. Cool. Oh, yes, faux fancy. Tom Ellis from TV's Lucifer. Yeah, he's got a totally different accent, but I would watch him play Gambit. Yes. So He Who Is Steve, you do make a really good point. It is such a specific accent for Gambit that they would need to invest the time into learning it, and I don't know if people are willing to do that, which is too bad.
And for all the people out there who say like he is more than just his accent, he is, but it's also such a significant component of his character that I just don't think it should be dismissed.
Yep.
Because it's not just his character; it's the whole sort of like culture of. It's not just the accent, you know. He embodies it.
Yeah. No. 100%.
It's important. This is terrifying. Oh my god. Oh dear. I'm real sorry, guys. I'm glad this is PG-13. Above PG-13, rather. No. Nightmare fuel on your Saturday morning.
No, that's a really good point. So He Who Is Steve says, because Gambit has a reputation as a flirt, and he is, but the way he talks with his shays and shahs and sweethearts, which I'm not even going to try because I have not practiced the accent, also not good at accents, isn't just because it's a flirt, but it's very much tied to the Bayou, and that that way of speaking. And yeah, so you need someone who can not only play the flirtatious aspect of it, which I think both Matt Ryan and Tom Ellis can, but then you also need that reason behind the way that he is speaking.
Yeah. It's not just an accent, it's a whole regional dialect. It's a little bit like Keanu Reeves having literally no idea what he is saying when he's in Much Ado About Nothing. And so he's just saying the words, and people are saying, right, this is what you're feeling right now, and these are the words. But he doesn't understand the words necessarily, or at least that's the impression you get watching him. He tries, bless him. But it's like anybody... I used to live in Cornwall in England, and there was a real... The Cornish accent is very my lover, you know, a little bit like a pirate. But there's some quality to it that's really hard to replicate because it sounds like just the whole southwest of the country. But actually, Cornwall's very specific, and a lot of it has to do with the sort of culture of the turns of phrases and things like that, and the motivation as to why people say things in certain places. It's not just about saying it with the accent, it's about understanding the subtext of it, and that's something that you really don't get unless you live there and you understand it and you hear it in context and you understand what people are trying to say and what they mean and what kind of mood they're in when they say it and all sorts of stuff like that. So yeah, I agree, it's not something that just you don't just replicate it by creating the sound of it. You've got to understand it.
Yeah, there's a really, really cool dialect coach who does interviews and explanation videos on YouTube, and I love listening to him. And it's not only is he breaking down like the actual shape that your mouth and your tongue are making, like does your tongue come to the tip of your teeth when you say this word, or does it push down to the lower part, or do you bunch it up in the back of your throat when you say certain things? And it even just that little bit changes, but it's very much the same. That like I give him a lot of credit because they frequently have him just, critique bad accents, but it's also the, looking at talented actors who can usually do good accent work. They're like, they probably didn't give him or her enough time. Like it takes time to get that into, and, they'll have it for a good portion of it. And then they'll slip on one word because they slip back into what is their natural dialect. And it's, oh my gosh, like weirdly specific other thing that I nerd out about.
I like picking out American actors trying to do English accents because my wife constantly discuss difference in accents, and so much of it is to do with sounds that don't exist in other accent dialects. So there's a specific sound that a huge portion of the British received pronunciation, at least accent, is based on, which doesn't exist in a standard American accent, which is the O kind of short vowel. So like the word that will trip up most American performers trying to do a British accent is the word not. Like, oh no, I did not, or I will not do that. There's a kind of a not elongation to it because the not of not doesn't really exist in that accent in the same way. So it's just not a sound that they'd ever make.
That is so cool.
There's a few like that. Realizing the differences in our accents is about 60% of our relationship. I jest. But it's a non-stop source of entertainment for us.
When I remember there's, and I know we've, well, at some point we've talked about it. I can't remember exactly what, but the movie, I Know That Voice, which is just this great documentary about tons and tons of voice actors. But one of the people that they interview on that was talking about how there is a difference when it comes to being a professional voice actor in just being able to, like, okay, so you can do, the Porky Pig and you can do the catchphrases, but now can you recite Shakespeare, but in Porky Pig? And it's that it's not just the surface level understanding of the accent or the dialect. It is the like, this is the character, this is how the character speaks and what they say. And that's where you really start to get the big divide between people who can move so seamlessly through taking a voice of a character and warping it into any dialogue versus, you know, the people who can just do like I said, base level catchphrases. And that was it.
Yeah.
I think I understood it to a certain extent, but it just blew my mind hearing it like that. Cause I was like, no, I can parrot things back. If I hear something, I can mimic that, but I can't sit comfortably in that new accent to be able to say the sentences that I would want to say. I'd need to hear them. Which is also, again, why I hated doing voice acting in animation school.
Oh, did you have to do that as part of your course? You had to be your own voice actors? Oh no.
Uh-huh. Yes, and because I want you to still
Hard
be my
pass.
friend, at a certain point, I'm not going to show you my production project where I try and speak in a British accent because we thought that was going to be a good idea, because it's so bad.
Oh, but listen, one of my favorite things to do is try and say something in an American accent to my wife, and she hates it so much because it's deceptively hard for all the reasons that we've discussed. And one of them as well is that literally a lot of British people produce the sound of their speech at a different place in the throat and the back of the mouth and everything than Americans a lot of the time tend to, which is why when British people try to replicate American accents, a lot of it sounds really nasally. It's because we're trying to recreate producing the sound from a different place, but it's like super out of control and you have to practice a whole bunch.
Yep.
So I say, I want a burger, and she hates it super loads because it's the worst thing anyone ever says.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much.
I'm sorry, can I hear that again?
I want a burger. Like, it's deliberately bad because trying to do it sincerely, I don't have the self-esteem to attempt, so I just lean into the bad. You know? So yeah, I don't judge people
got a
by
hint of
accents, unless
Jersey
they're actors
there.
on TV that I don't know. There's a lot going on in that.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. Well, and I don't know if she's still here, but Diana in chat is in the Pittsburgh area, which is where I went to college, and we've talked a lot about the regional dialect of Pittsburgh, and it is so concentrated to just them, and so much of their vocabulary are words that I had never encountered outside of Pittsburgh, and it was so funny to spend time there and start to understand. I was like, okay, I know we're speaking English. We are both speaking English, but I can't understand what these people are saying to me. So getting to get into that was, yeah. Yes. This is, Diana, I love it. Yeah. So just, you just need to red up Yin's room so you can go wash the gum bands and go to the store for popping chips and that. Yep. Yeah. And I was just like sitting on the bus listening to this, and I'm like, what? What was that? It's so good. Yeah. But it was always funny.
Can't understand something I'm saying.
Yeah. No, that was I spent months not being able to understand. Yes, he who is Steve. Imagine not calling all carbonated soft drinks Coke. Yeah, I'm in weird pop soda land.
Someone was explaining that to me. Someone from Texas, who they were like, "Oh yeah, so you say, oh, can I get a Coke, please?" And they'll say, "Cool, what kind?" And they'll say, "Oh, Dr. Pepper." I'm like,
that's factually incorrect.
Just trying to make it work in my head, and it doesn't.
Okay, I'm catching up on chat because all of you in chat are so awesome. Yes, voice acting versus mimicry, absolutely. Faux Fancy saying, "Oh my God, Vic, how do you draw hands and hearts so perfect?"
Hands, I really couldn't say because I hate drawing hands and don't feel the least bit confident doing it. It's a hand roulette constantly to whether or not what I will draw looks all right, but I proactively work on it all the time. So I guess the answer is practice, which is such bullshit, isn't it?
It's true, though. It really is.
Isn't that the worst? I remember in this past year, I've gotten to draw a lot more than I have done in previous years, and I've gotten a lot better, a lot faster as a result. I was like, shit, it's practice. Practice. How? Damn it, I was furious. Yeah, some days I feel like I can draw a hand and I'm sort of all right with it. And other days I'll go to draw a hand and I'm like, what is this? What did I just produce? Because it's not a hand. I think it comes down to just the whatever happens to be the angle I'm drawing it at. So like this hand, I've kind of drawn this sort of hand angle a few times already. So I'm kind of like, okay, I'm just recreating something that I've done. Like I've literally drawn the same hand angle several times over just in the space of this stream. But yeah, sometimes I'll go draw a hand position that I've never ever drawn, and it just looks atrocious. It's like weird contortion of digits.
Yep.
But I'm glad you like it. And hearts, it's because I went to school at an all-girls school, and about 30% of everything anybody doodled on their notebooks was hearts. And we would compare hearts, and I guess that's why. It's a weird, very specific piece of personal history.
Nope. There's a funny, when it comes to those very, I would say like simple shapes, I realized that I would doodle a lot of shapes, but I never doodled lightning bolts. And when I first started teaching kids, I had this very irrational fear of drawing lightning bolts because it takes me like 2 or 3 times to draw them because I can't just draw them because I have to think about it so much. So that's my...
I feel like everyone has that one ultra simple thing that they figured out early on how to draw, and that they will just draw. So like, I'm trying to articulate this because I'm curious to know if you guys have this, where there's like a specific kind of object that you know how to draw super well, and you figured out your own personal style when you were like 10 years old. You're like, this is how I'm going to draw this thing for the rest of my life.
I will not be accepting any change.
pillows and cushions. I realized, like, I know how to. I'll draw that, and then I'll draw the little corner bit, because when pillows sort of puff out, they have that shape, and I'm done. That's it for me for the rest of my life. Everything else, I'll keep workshopping until I die, but pillows, I'm good. Do you guys have that, or is that just me?
No, absolutely. And it's funny because we had to animate flour sacks in college. And so it was the same thing. Like there was a whole having to draw that. So like the sleeve cuff, like I'm drawing on this character now where she's got that, like, nope. Are there other ways to draw this? Should I probably update it? Sure. Am I gonna? Nope. I'm gonna keep drawing like rolled up sleeves like that every single time.
Yes. Sleeve cuffs, I'm the same. It's like, you get same face syndrome. It's just same cuff syndrome.
Yep. Yep.
So I would say for me, it's probably pretty obvious, but Sailor Moon mini skirts. I have a really hard time drawing skirts without pleats these days for reasons.
It's actually a very valuable skill to have, I would say. Very marketable, perhaps.
It very well could be. Just draw pleated skirts all the time.
pleated skirts all day long. Oh, I knew the Disney one was going to slow me down, but oof.
Yeah, so when you were talking about drawing hands, a couple episodes ago when we did the time warp episode, and so we were redrawing our old art, and one, I picked a hard pose because I'm an insane person, but the amount of fighting I did with the hands that day is unparalleled to anything I've had in the last like 7 years of my art. Like, could not get the hands to work to save my life. And it was so frustrating because I was like, I don't mind drawing hands. Like, they're not my favorite, but I don't mind them. Why can't I draw them today? It was just so heartbreaking.
I've definitely gone through phases of trying to figure out the different techniques of figuring out hands. So like I've done the thing where you're like, okay, so I'm going to start drawing like a circle and then just lines off of it. Okay, I'm going to do the thing where you create the trapeze for the palm and then the digits. Okay, I'm going to try drawing every wrinkle of every knuckle. Idea, rewind. You know, like all of the different stuff. Like I'm going to have really rounded fingers. No, I'm going to have really squared off fingers. I'm going to try everything I can try to make it a little bit more consistent as to whether I can get this down. And I've sort of settled on something that seems mostly consistent now. But there will be those days where there is nothing I can do to make it not look terrible. I have to walk away or take pictures of my own hand or whatever it takes, and I just can't get it.
Yep.
But aren't hands supposed to be one of the hardest things to draw? Which is what everyone says
Hands
about
and
all parts of the human body, but...
Yep. Well, and I think
so
there's
much
something
articulation in them.
Yeah, when you talk about taking reference photos, the times when you'll take a picture and you'll just be copying from the picture, but because of the way your brain translates 3D media to 2D media, like you might actually have to change it because it doesn't look right. And then I'm just like, oh, that's a whole nother level that I have to deal with now.
Yeah. Because of the way I'm trying to draw it, it doesn't look realistic. If I draw it realistically, it looks wrong.
Yep.
So I have to make it wrong to make it look right.
Yep.
Artist problems.
I'm going to keep saying it. It's been such a pleasure with Doodle Crew because we get to have these moments where it's like, oh no, it's all of us. We're all in this together. We all fight this same thing together.
It's reassuring, I will say. It's very nice to be like, oh, thank God, it's not just me.
Also, I like He Who Is Steve threw out in chat. He says, all right, what are Helga's 6 Pokemon lineup? Which I love. And also, yeah, he said Helga's Pokeballs are shaped like Arnold's head.
It'd be kind of not difficult to throw. It's not really aerodynamic.
I was gonna say you'd literally have to throw them like a football. Like you couldn't just like toss them. Like you'd have to
say like.
I would love to
shaped like his head.
I would love to think that her 6 Pokemon are like the girliest, pinkest, fluffiest Pokemon in existence.
Like all fairy type.
Like all fairy type. Although she's got to have a fighting type in there too, I think. But
yeah,
that's what always amused me about her character. She's so tomboyish, but then she wears like a pink dress and a bow in her hair all the time.
I always got the impression that was like an involuntary choice, much the way I was put in pink as a child.
Oh no!
Oh,
that like there's this entire culture of like the less feminine you are, the more your parents try to make you feminine. I wonder if that was what was going on. They're like, please, just try it.
So
that does make sense. Oh, sorry. I was just thinking out loud. That does make sense because it seems like her older sister Olga was very, very girly, and her parents were always like transferring that on to Helga. Is everything they loved about Olga.
Oh, poor Helga.
Poor Helga.
I'll say that's a whole
headcanon that we've got going on.
Yeah, like a synopsis of older sibling relationships, and yeah. So it's funny to me now because when I was growing up, I was all in on like pink frilly dresses. Like life didn't get much better than that, which is funny because if you know me in life now, that couldn't be farther from what I wear. But simultaneously, because I was the firstborn and I spent the most time with my dad, he also kind of also raised me like a son. So I had this very weird, like I was totally fine being a girly girl with the clothing, but then I was super excited because you could get a pink frilly skirt that also had shorts built into it. So I could go around, run around like a maniac while still wearing like these lovely things that I wanted to wear. So it was a weird balance.
I remember I went to my parents, I think it was in middle school or the beginning of high school, and I was like, guys, I wanna wear all black now. Like, that's my thing now. And my mother flat out went, no, we're not doing that. And then my brother got to high school. We're not doing that. My brother got to high school and he got to wear black shirts and jeans all the time. And I was just like,
what the heck?
What the what?
Yeah.
What the what? I'm over here literally forced to wear color. Why?
See, I didn't have that problem at school because we all had school uniforms. But
yeah. Also, I love Mayor Squish says, "Welcome, folks, to interfamilial relationships and gender roles with the Doodle Crew." That's what we do here.
Like therapy.
Oh goodness. Oh, it's so good. Also, He Who Is Steve says Helga's lineup: Mankey, Mindfu, Medichamp, Hitmonlee, Machamp, and Conkeldurr. I think I don't know all of them anymore. Oh,
I don't know the last one. Let me look up the last one.
I don't know. I like it though. I like that lineup.
I know criminally little about Pokemon because I don't think that was one that I had much access to as a kid. But we did have Digimon.
Yes.
Which was rerun about as often as Recess.
Oh, so, you've just made me so happy.
Digimon.
Yeah. So I think one of the earliest bonding that Guardian Randy in chat and I did was over Digimon because while I loved Pokemon and played a lot of like the Game Boy, there he is. We stand Digimon. Yeah, I loved the shit out of Digimon. It was so good. So we've talked about doing
I really enjoyed that show.
A Pokemon versus Digimon Doodle Crew stream at some point because that would be fun.
Oh, that would be a blast.
That would be fun.
So, yeah.
That would be fun and simultaneously a great way to lose friends, depending on how he
like all board games ever.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's fun until it's not.
Until the Monopoly board is across the room. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, big Digimon on our Saturday morning cartoons in our family.
That makes me so happy.
To the point where my sister has grown up and introduced it to her own children, and they love it.
Yes!
I don't think they've ever watched Pokemon, but she's like, check out this other show. I criminally haven't watched it in so long that I've forgotten most of the characters' names because I just cannot remember names. But is it Mimi, the little girl, big gloves?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
With the cowboy hat?
Yeah, something like that. My niece, when she was very small, did a cosplay as her at a convention. So my sister put together that cosplay, and then my sister cosplayed as her Digimon. So like, it's my sister with the big wings, and then she's like tiny little girl. It was ridiculously cute.
Oh my gosh, I love it so
Oh my god!
Oh, it's so good.
I'll have to dig out a picture with my sister's permission and show you guys.
What did you Steve, what are you doing in my chat? Go back to Oh, I wanted to call out this thing that Faux Fancy shared when we were talking about what we were forced or encouraged to wear. Says, oh God, yes, I hated it. I was a boy, like the Dar Williams song when I was younger. I feel like emotionally I qualify for non-binary, but I'm she, her. But how much of my thinking is influenced by patriarchal tropes when it comes to hobbies? And yeah. Also, hated dresses when I was younger. I love them now, but because it's my choice to wear them, absolutely. And getting the space to unpack a lot of that is its own thing, and actually maybe diving into the motivations behind certain things when it came to fashion or any of that. Like, why did I do this? Did I do it because I liked it? Did I do it because it's what I was expected to do? What am I actually comfortable wearing and putting on my body, and how do I feel good being out in the world? And yeah, hey, you know, it only took me 30 years.
I mean, I came out as non-binary in the past year. Like I think a lot of people who were at home all year and suddenly had a lot of time to think about stuff. But that is a definite challenge to figure out for sure. I kind of love that it's easier for people now. Like, it makes me really happy that for so many people, obviously not all people, there's like space for that, you know, to sort of figure it out and without the expectation of having an answer right away and stuff like that. I think that's great. More
and
of that,
just
please.
the space to work through it. That is humongous, and I want more of that. I want more of that for everybody, that you don't have to have it all figured out, because boy, certainly none of us did. Like, yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. The chat is just, you guys are ridiculous. I love you so much. Oh, and Faux Fancy follows up with, because I plumb, work on cars, do woodworking, some electrical, wear overalls, but I also love decorating, cross-stitching, knitting, makeup, heels, sewing. I almost read that as swing, which I'm like, swing! Yes. Yeah, no, and I think that's... again, having the space, no matter how you identify, to be able to enjoy the wide variety of things you enjoy is absolutely what we should be striving for. That no matter what your hobbies are, that there is a space for you and there's a community for you, and you get to enjoy them. Yes. I want more of that. So much more of that.
You know what would make me so happy? I don't know when or if we'll ever get there, is if retailers could just stop gender identifying toys. I would love that so much.
So much. Yep.
I used to work at a Build-A-Bear workshop, and they're terrible for that. I used to have parents come in and tell their like toddlers who were boys that they weren't allowed certain toys because they were pink and colorful. And it's like, this is a 3-year-old child, and here's a rainbow-colored bear. It's visually stimulating. Of course he wants that one.
Yeah.
But they're like, no, you must have this muted blue bear because it's a boy bear.
No, let the kids have their colors. They enjoy all colors.
Ew.
And if you go back far enough, blue is actually a woman's color. Societally speaking, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Pink used to be for men.
Yep.
That is
Yep.
true.
That's why
Originally.
you have those months where you're like, that's why it's all bullshit. It's literally just all bullshit.
It's a total fabrication.
Yeah.
Well, most societal
I feel
constructs
like-
are.
Yeah.
I don't think my Disney one looks particularly Disney-ish, but it looks almost just like my own style.
Yep. My Disney one landed there too. Yep.
That's what you get when you get people who have spent a lot of time striving to draw like Disney and then sort of ended up making their own thing. Is that you're incapable of drawing Disney because you made your own thing out of Disney.
Yep. Yep.
I don't know if you actually can draw Disney. I certainly cannot. But it's okay.
It is an echo of Disney, we'll say. It vaguely resembles it. It's Aw. Guardian Riddy says, maybe that's why I love pink clothing so much now. I'm living my best Barbie life that I was denied as a child. Absolutely. Like I consider myself, and I'm aware of how lucky I was that I had access to Barbies if I wanted them, but I also had access to any of, we'll say, the construction toys that I wanted, because holy cow, like backhoes are cool. Like that never stopped being fun for me. I was like, this is a cool toy. Like you just get these are dope. But you know, I was very lucky because my parents were like, what? She's playing on her own and she's keeping herself busy? We don't care. Just like, you do you, kid. So yeah, it's like it's also I'm gonna I'm trying to keep my rant to a minimum, but it breaks my heart because now that I've started working with much younger kids, like there is this untapped, like unbridled passion and expression that they have in storytelling and imagination. And I feel like as you limit what toys they can play with, what colors they can explore, any of this, you're literally cutting them off to this beautiful imaginative world that they have and telling them that some part of that imagination is wrong. And I was like, why would you ever do that? You're stunting so many children who will turn into stunted adults. Flips the table over.
Well, they might be fine as adults, but they're gonna have to take that minute and probably work through some stuff.
Yep. Yep.
I think I'm going to take back some of my vitriol about my Disney drawing based on what I'm now drawing. Like, oh, this is worse. Cool.
So I'm just gonna say, when I got to my Tim Burton one, and I'll roll over to it, I get what you guys were saying with the styles. Like, because everything is broken down into shapes. I'm looking at this and I'm like, it looks exactly like a character from a webcomic instead of an actual Tim Burton character. But
Yeah!
I'm fine. It's fine.
I want to say again, thank you to chat because, as per usual, we have not had the conversation I ever expect us to have, but it is constantly delightful, and I am so happy that you all come and hang out with us and chat with us, and just, yeah, thank you. We appreciate you. This is when they always look really creepy because you can tell that I've not colored in any of their eyes. Eee. It's fine. It's fine.
Sort of dead inside look.
Yeah, like my poor Disney one just looked so much scarier when I did that. Like, that's horrifying. What are we doing here? Okay, I'm gonna fix it.
It's so bad. Oh, it might be the worst thing I've ever drawn. That is not supposed to be true. I'm just making a fuss.
Oh, but look at his face. Oh my gosh.
I'm just picturing this cartoon with Gambit's voice.
Oh, that one is voiced by Keanu Reeves doing the accent. That's the one. That's the one. Oh gosh.
Oh boy, I am sorry. I can only apologize. Wow.
Again, as we've talked about style and everything, like Matt Groening has such a specific style that is deceptively simple. Like, you're like, no, this shouldn't be too bad. Like, I get it. Like, this is how they do mouths, blah, blah, blah. Then I do it. And I'm just like, oh no. Oh no. Oh no. I don't draw like this ever.
Yeah. I definitely went through a phase of trying to emulate this.
Yeah.
Deceptively difficult.
Oh my gosh. All right. Steve wins with this. He who is Steve says Gambit as Philip J. Fry saying, shut up and take my kinetic energy. And I'm dead.
There it is.
Well done, Steve. Well done. I feel like we've got to make that meme now. Like that needs to exist.
Make a meme out of it.
Yep. Oh
I
my
know what I'm doing with the rest of my day.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
It's actually a really interesting exercise doing this and realizing sort of, or recalling along the way patches of my life where I have attempted definitely to emulate these styles, and I haven't done it in so long. But I'm like, I can see the bits that I kept along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I know I was so influenced by certain styles growing up that I worked so hard to draw just like, and I fell short. I didn't land at them, but no, there are parts of it, like when Megan was talking about drawing the Sailor Moon skirts, I was like, no, there are reasons that I usually approach like hands this way. And it's because like you can see the Disney influence and then you can see this other influence. And that's how I got to like this type of hand. That's always a fun conversation with artists who, come up and talk to me at Comic-Con or stuff like that when they talk about finding your style. And, one thing I will always say is it definitely snuck up on me. Like I didn't have a conscious moment where I was like, okay, now I have a style. It was more like as I started to have people bring back old work or point stuff out or respond to things on the internet, be like, oh yeah, I saw that and I knew it was yours. And I was like, wait, really? That's cool.
Yeah.
But it was a process that I went all the way through that didn't just like suddenly happen.
I think I've heard people describe that point as that like an art style is something that just happens by accident along the way while you're trying to draw, and that you don't actually get to control it.
I would absolutely agree with that.
And that if you're trying to create an art style, inevitably what you'll end up doing is recreating someone else's. If you want to like try and control that process, is that actually it's such an organic thing that you won't really be able to.
Yeah. And I think there's the feel that it needs to be set. Like I think it's such a, because if you are a young artist being inspired by all of these other artists that you're seeing, you have this like, oh my gosh, I have to find my style. And so that pressure to just figure it out, to like break the code. And it's exactly what you said. You kind of just get there when you're trying to draw someone else's.
I think it's like people probably come to the conclusion that they need to find a style because they're like, well, these people are successful and they have a style. It's like, well, maybe they are successful because they've developed their own style, or rather maybe you recognize it because they have such a clearly defined own style, but they didn't craft that. It just sort of happened.
Yeah.
And also that they already exist.
Yeah. But then the openness of the community. No, you're good. That people are willing to talk about how, how they got there or show their old work, especially as artists who are very popular or very talented. Mayor Squish in chat says, pressure to find an art style? Can't relate. Sweating intensifies.
I definitely fought against my art style for a long time. I used to want to draw like super high fantasy art, like the sort of Magic the Gathering kind of card artwork, that kind of thing. Super high, and I just can't. Like everything I drew kept looking like a cartoon. And I was told by my art teacher at school that cartoons were not real art.
Oh. Ooh.
And it just lingered with me. So I was like rebelling against a natural art style, and like to the point where like I think my art style, I don't know if it's distinctive, but it's certainly fixed. Like I can't get away from it. Having proactively tried, I just can't. Like stuff still just comes out looking like that, no matter what I do. Much to my frustration over the years. So like that's always been my challenge. Actually, stop trying to fight it and just lean into it. But
it is so frustrating to me when teachers make comments like that, especially in the formative years. Like that, no, I know, again, I've mentioned Steph before, the woman I do the Shakespeare stream with, and she specifically remembers a teacher, commenting on a piece of artwork that she did very negatively and never wanting to do it again. I was like, there's no reason for it. There's no reason. Like if you are submitting your artwork to be specifically judged, that's a whole thing. If it is just a kid in class who is creating art, why?
Yeah. I mean, ultimately I quit art. That was the outcome for me. Is that for years I gave up. So
I feel you. I've always wanted to have that more painterly style. Like I love the Magic the Gathering art and I love watercolor art and everything. And yeah, I've got bold lines and anime-esque faces and I give up. This is me. I can't do the fancy high fantasy art as much as I would love to.
Yep.
Yep. Right there with you.
Yeah, you can pull my thick black outlines from my cold dead hands. That's where we live now.
And every time I try to do something that doesn't have outlines or is more painterly, it just looks so bizarre.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like starting over again, isn't it? Like all of your artistic experience is like has brought you to where you are with a certain art style. And then it's like going back again to learning from the beginning.
Yeah.
That is very true because the skills and the techniques you learn in a certain style or even in a style range doesn't necessarily translate when you're trying to do something completely different.
Yeah. So it goes back to feeling clumsy or rough or whatever. But that's been my experience, at least.
Yeah, no, 100%.
It's very
And I
cathartic
think
to realize I'm not the only one.
no, very much among friends. And it's weird for someone who I would not say I am an overly confident person most of the time, but there is a weird self-confidence when it comes to creating art. And I think, like we were saying, when you jump into a new style or a style that you're a novice at, you have to simultaneously balance that confidence you have from your other style with something you're so new at. And I know I can often be harder on myself then because I'm like, but you do know what you're doing and you should be able to do this. And the fact that I can't get my brain around it, I think I then get that much crueler to myself who is trying to learn because I'm just like, well, why can't you do it? Why are you dumb? And I was like, this isn't helpful. Why don't be mean to Emily. She's not that bad. Oh, yes, absolutely, Mayor Squish. Watercolor hype! So, I mean, this is a selfish shout out, but I was so happy because Mayor Squish and I got to do a watercolor stream. And I will absolutely say, between the two of us, she is far more proficient than I am. And I was very nervous going onto a stream where I was like, I mean, again, I understand how watercolors work, but I don't work in them. And certainly not with the consistency that she does. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to be bad at this. But it was, it was really, really nice to, it was. No, and it was so much fun because we got to hang out. We created two totally different pieces, but we got to chat and the same thing. And it was just like, giving myself a little bit of a break that it was okay to just make a piece of art. And if it was bad, it was okay. And if it wasn't, then great. And yeah, so thank you, Mayor Squish. Thank you for your watercolor hype. It was so much fun. Also, going back in chat, Randall says, Megan just described my eternal struggle. So, yep. Yeah, someone mentioned gouache. I hated gouache in college. I'm coming back around on it now because it's kind of that beautiful blend between watercolor and acrylic. Yeah, it's oh. Thank you very much, Leona Moon. Says, hey, Em, you need to stop being mean to my best friend, Em, okay? She's a good person who does her best and makes great looking art. So thank you. Thank you. I'm working on it. I'm working on not being quite so mean to myself. Some days it's tough.
I've never used gouache in real life, like traditional medium, but I have used the gouache paintbrush in Procreate, and I quite like it.
I like that. And I didn't realize, again, like so many things, because I will hyper focus on certain aspects. So if it's digital art at the time, then I will, watch a ton and learn a ton about the digital art. But I was looking at possibly buying gouache recently, and there are a number of different styles of it depending on what you want. It was the same thing. I was like, oh no, this makes complete sense, but I just didn't have it in my brain because I'd only ever used one style at one point in my life. So the lovely lady at the art store was just like, yeah, you could do this with this one or this with this one. And I'm just like, my brain's in overload, but I'm excited.
Happy but overwhelmed.
Yes. My constant state. How lovely. Steve, she was a 10 out of 10 because she spent a lot of time with me, and it was very, very sweet. It was also a super little, like a tiny little art shop, which obviously I haven't been in a very long time. And so, I'll see what I can do. She wasn't local to me, but I'll see what I can do for you. Distance be damned. All right. So I will say, I will give us all probably like a 15-minute warning for finishing up and getting to a point where we can save and do all of that. Because, yeah, we should all stretch at that point.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I've got time to start a new one. I'll take this opportunity to shade the Disney one. Or did you, like, I was kind of going like a proper like 90s Disney vibe. Did they actually shade back then?
Airbrush shading.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm trying to think of.
I'm not sure they did. Like I'm thinking of like Little Mermaid era.
Are we talking movies or shows? Because they used.
I mean, I ended up kind of looking more at movies, but they didn't in there. Now I'm looking at it. Never mind.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of trouble because Wendy in Gravity Falls doesn't have any shading. So I'm just like, I'm knocking in my base colors, and I was like, oh, but wait, do I just leave them as base, or do I, at least on my, style, I'm going to shade? But yeah, I'm having a like, oh no, is that it? Oh.
Actually, in a lot of these screenshots from Little Mermaid, they really don't have. Yeah, there's no shading on Ariel.
I never noticed that prior to just looking at it now.
Yeah, like as you're saying it,
weird.
I'm like, wait, is there? Or they just do really cool lighting effects that were just like the color of the whole thing. So, my brain can't take it.
I'm gonna scribble a sketch for a recess gambit, and I'll not finish it. I'll finish it later. Did you guys have on the Disney Channel in US? They used to do little behind the scenes videos on how to draw the characters from Recess. Did you ever have that?
Yes. I feel like yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Like now that I'm trying to, like, I feel like I remember sitting and watching that and being really mad. Again, being really mad I didn't record it so I could go back and rewatch it.
I want to say yes too. I mean, I remember seeing like little mini specials on like Disney Channel and ABC Kids where they would do like, this is how we draw the characters and stuff.
Yeah.
Let's fix this. And I remember, I couldn't tell you what channel it was on, but I remember when they would advertise that they were going to do one of those big, like, the making of an animated movie, and it was all the behind the scenes, and it was like a 2-hour event, and it was like, this was a planned thing that we made sure that we had like the VHS tape ready to tape so that we could, you know, pause it to cut out all the commercials and like sit and watch this thing. And like, I remember that vividly because the amount of hype that little Emily would get for that one was intense. It was intense. Which is funny because I'm so chill now. Nope, that's a lie. Redeemed myself a little bit because my squirrel was really, really bad. So I fixed my squirrel now.
That squirrel is adorable.
Thank you. I looked at reference because I couldn't do it on my own. It was real bad the first time around. Oh.
Well, I think we've talked about that. Like, I know how to draw a fork.
Why are forks so hard?
Forks are so hard.
You want to talk about difficult things to draw?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Why are forks so hard? And I think you mentioned this on your stream last Friday, like last week. Wine glasses.
Wine glasses are so tough. Mm-hmm.
And bottles.
Yep, like beer bottles and wine bottles. No, just impossible. I don't get it. I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense.
It's stupid.
Spoons are deceptively difficult as well. Yep. Like, I'll draw a knife all day long. I'll draw an intricate sword, but do not make me draw a spoon.
Which then I have those moments where I was like, there was an entire... Oh, sorry. An entire song and dance of dancing cutlery in Beauty and the Beast. I'm like, whoever worked on that is a god because I couldn't fucking do that. Any of it. No.
Just have a panic attack on their behalf retrospectively.
Yep.
That was actually, I believe, don't quote me on this. People feel free to Google, but I believe most of that in the cutlery and everything in that scene was digitally like copied. Like, I don't think they drew all of them. I think they drew like one or two and then like copied them because that was one of the movies they were really playing with CGI to make it look animated still.
Yeah, because they did like that big ballroom scene where they do that big camera move around the chandelier. Like, that's all. I bet you're right. Oh, those sneaky bastards.
I think I remember seeing something like behind the scenes and they're like, yeah, we just, you know, we made patterns, especially the ones where there's like the dancing cups and plates, that particular one. They're like, yeah, we made a pattern out of assets. I don't think they hand drew them all.
I mean, going back to our earlier point though, it's not cheating, it's just working smart.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. So I know I cut you off. You were going to say one of the characters in one of your stories.
Oh, yeah. I feel like every single character in my comic seems to relate to something we said to say, but one of the characters in my comic is literally named Craig Spoon Carver, and he carves spoons, and he's got a little spoon on a necklace around his neck. So in almost every panel of this damn comic, I have to draw a spoon. Sometimes more than one spoon. And it's the worst.
So you know.
Oh,
I understand.
my gosh. I love it so much.
Thank God. That was really one of the things I felt like maybe was just me. Like, I know what spoons look like. Why is this so difficult? Why do I have to look up a reference every time I want to draw a spoon?
Yep. No, and forks. Like,
Yeah,
as soon as you
I've
said
been
forks, I was like,
using spoons my whole life.
Yeah, I know it. I know it's a simple shape. And nope.
Nope. Need
makes
a reference.
No sense. Looks weird every time. I had to do it was gonna go on a t-shirt and I had to do a spoon or a fork that had spaghetti spun around it. Do you know how many times I redrew that stupid fork? I'm like, I'm just gonna trace it. I'm gonna trace a picture because I can't do this. It's fine.
Oh.
So, yep.
Cutlery.
My nemesis.
I'll get you next time, spoons.
Oh my god.
I will draw a perfect portrait of you.
Yeah, never mind hands. Where's the educational material on how to draw a freaking spoon?
That's what we need. We need an entire artist books of like how to draw household items.
Yes,
like
please.
for real.
I'm visualizing, like when art programs produce their own like art books for the show, like how-to guides. This Doodle Crew book is going to just be like, right, page 1, spoons. Page 2, forks.
Oh yeah.
Page 3, pleated skirts. Like hyper-specific.
Yep, there's a whole page on pillows. There's a whole page on like cuffed clothing, and you're just like, what am I actually learning though? And we're like, no, but you don't understand.
Lampshades.
There's an entire chapter
Lampshades.
dedicated to not drawing Disney correctly.
I mean, I think it's
God,
just marketing
lampshades,
itself right
don't
now,
even.
honestly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
If you guys are anything like me, you're already seriously thinking like, no, but actually this project might have some legs to it.
Yeah, I think we could absolutely sell the shit out of that, even if it's just to all of our own artist friends.
Here's another one for you. This is one that I cheat at almost every year when I make Christmas cards. I cannot wrap my head around drawing Christmas trees with like ornaments and stuff.
Oh,
like I can't.
That one I can do. I can actually do that one. I don't know why specifically.
No, but that makes sense. I feel like that's in line with my lightning bolt thing, where I'm just like, no, just no.
Oh, well, then that's the opposite question. Then, like, so we talk about the hyper-specific things we can draw. What are the hyper-specific things that we can't, other than spoons and forks and Christmas trees?
Other than anything in my kitchen.
I mean, like I can draw a Christmas tree. It's just like super cartoony, like a doodle tree.
Yeah. Things that I will actively avoid. Car rims, like rims on tires. I genuinely struggle to no end to draw rims on tires. Like I have one style of tire that I will draw and one very basic rim because that's all I can do. And that one kind of works. And if I move out of that at all, it's not going to look right. So we just don't go. Nope. Nope. Just don't do it.
I was going to say like cars, period.
Yes. Yeah. I was not built for that.
Bicycles.
Megan, this reference like trick is changing my life.
Woo!
Look at it go. Woohoo!
Oh, I love it. Oh, Guardian Randy mentions musical instruments. Yeah, like so the comic I was talking about with Amy Winehouse, I got okay at drawing guitars, but you throw a violin at me and I'm like, nope, I'm out. I'm out trying to draw Sailor Neptune. Nope, just not gonna do it. Just not gonna draw her playing the violin. Mm-mm.
I think musical
I can draw
instruments
guitars,
are.
but like.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I think it comes down to like I can draw guitars because I play guitar and I know what that instrument looks like and I'm familiar with it. And I think that's a lot of when people can draw something really well is because they are familiar with it, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is I, on the other hand, I do have practice drawing guitars, but I can draw the violin because I'm familiar with it. Otherwise, I'd be like, what? Why is this curvy thing here and this other swirly thing over here?
Yeah, none of these curves make any sense. Nope. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I can't draw wind
instruments. A friend of mine used to have a webcomic with like loads of medical equipment in it, and his medical equipment always just looked really accurate. And we're like, why are you so good at drawing medical equipment? It's because he was a nurse.
Oh my god.
He's literally a trained nurse. It's like I used to work with that every day, and I draw camera equipment very accurately because I used to work with film. So, like, I think that's some of it.
Oh yes. So Mayor Squish says needle trees actually grow upwards, which blew my fucking mind. Faux Fancy says hair. I suck at hair and hands. And Guardian Randy says I play flute, but you have to pay me a lot of money to draw all those keys. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, same with the saxophone. Yep. Oh my goodness. All right. So, Megan, do you want to start and give us your run through, and we'll start our wrap up so people can see all the ones that you made?
Sure. All right. Let me zoom out here. All right. So these are all the ones I made. Started off with My Style. Then I did Fairly Odd Parents. Then I did My Nightmare Before Christmas, which was a little, it's fine. Adventure Time was surprising because most of the characters don't have eyebrows. So I was like, well, that works.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
I put it in anyway.
Nope, like, it works. But that's, again, what a funny style thing.
Then I did One Piece because anime. My Little Pony because I thought it would be funny to give her an Arnold cutie mark.
Oh, that's so stinking cute.
Powerpuff Girls, Disney. She kind of looks like that princess from the Black Cauldron. It's fine.
Yep.
Hellsing, and which was an interesting choice, but I went with it anyway. And Pokemon.
Nice. Oh, that's awesome. No, the Pokemon is super cute. Like the Fairly Odd Parents though is spot on. Like she works so well on that. Is. Yeah. That one and the My Little Pony just delights me to no end.
The Powerpuff Girls looks like AU Bubbles.
Yeah.
Like she could almost be.
Yeah. Be like a Negaverse Bubbles.
Yes. Exactly that. Oh my gosh. So, if people want to see more of your lovely work, where can they find you?
On Instagram, I'm very active. Megan C Creates. I started up on TikTok a little bit. It's MCC underslash. It's underscore underslash art, and then I'm also on Facebook as Megan Cook Creates.
And if people want to buy stuff, head on over to Megan Etsy, because she does Etsy really well, and I'm super jealous.
I'm learning.
Yeah. It's a whole, again, as we talked about, it's a whole nother skill set. So, yeah. No, it's awesome. I'm so happy to have you. Yay.
Happy to be here.
All right. And we'll get this one over and highlighted. Okay, let's see all the Gambit babies.
Weird collection. I should actually have written so we got my style. There's the my style Powerpuff Girls, which I feel like he looks like a you professor from Powerpuff Girls. I have, confession, never ever watched Adventure Time or read Adventure Time in comic form, and I'm like, oh, I really should. I keep meaning, I just haven't got around to it. So I googled it and I saw eyebrows, so I drew eyebrows. So I don't know if they're not supposed to have eyebrows, but there it is. Here's not really Disney. Move on. Futurama, and they did manage to sneak in a recess at the very end there.
Which is so good. Oh my gosh. Okay, so you know what it is? I think I figured out the Disney one. It reminds me of Prince Naveen from The Princess and the Frog. I think it's that
Hey, does have a really going on.
Yeah, so I was like, I've been trying to figure out.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Oh, it's good. Now these are all the Professor Gambit is so good.
That's phenomenal. I love it.
Just be a real X-Men special episode of that show.
Oh my gosh. A ton of X-Men in Powerpuff Girls style. I would watch the shit out of that.
Heck yeah. And I love that we're just eyebrows for Adventure Time. Let's just make a movement.
Just
I swear I saw eyebrows. I could have just left them off, but I thought they were on there.
Nope, it's good. I like it. We're taking
in the moment.
So if people want to check out more of your lovely artwork, where can they find your stuff?
So I'm super active on Twitter and Instagram at idstar. I dabble recently on TikTok at Vic Idstar, but it doesn't matter. Feel free to ignore that one. I usually repost it on Instagram anyway. And I've got comics that you can read if you're interested in that kind of thing. The one I kept mentioning today is called Of Dungeons and Dragoons. You can find that at dragoons.com. And I've got another webcomic that I'm bringing out of hiatus recently called Activist Haircut, which is activisthaircut.com. But if you get stuck, all of these things are linkable, as with various other stuffs, at itstar.com, which is reasonably straightforward. Yeah.
Heck yeah. And also, anybody in chat who has not already gone over, make sure you go to Twitch and follow so you know when they go live, so you can watch more art. Yay!
Yeah, I'm trying to get into more of a consistent routine doing that. Should be Mondays and Wednesdays. Afternoon, evening, depending on where you are.
That's awesome. Yay! I'm so happy. I'm so glad you came and joined us for today.
Thank you so much for having me. I've had a blast.
Oh, good. That's
be everyone in chat.
All right. So let me bring up zoom in. All right. So I left up her in her OG style. So Wendy from Gravity Falls. So here, make sure so that one's my style. We've got some Disney happening here. Also, I did not get nearly as much done because of who I am. My sad little Powerpuff Girl, which is a style I am not good at, but I do it anyways. So just big ol' lies. And then my mid-transformation Sailor Moon that I've got going here, which I think I was having the most fun with.
That hat in the air.
Yep. I went
Drama.
super extra.
You were not kidding. That is super extra. I absolutely love it. I love it.
Brilliant.
No, that one was a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm hoping to get these colored up and finished because this was super fun. Yeah, I definitely I worked slow this morning. I guess didn't have enough coffee, but no, that was great. Yeah, and if you want to see more of me around the internet, I am at a swan named Emily all over the place. Yeah, no, this is awesome. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, artists. Thank you, people in chat. You guys are great. If you want to hit up any of the other artists, like I said, always head over to our link tree that's got all the different things. Yeah, come hang out with us in Discord. We do art shares and we get different art prompt ideas from chat. So if you have things you'd like to see us tackle or gripe about as we try and draw, that's always fun. But yeah, you guys are awesome. So thank you so much and have a great rest of your Saturday. Goodbye.